These are my 2023 Formula One predictions, and today I'm going head to head with my friend Quinn to see who comes out on top. I've prepared 23 questions to answer in this video, and if you want to find out if any of our wildest predictions come true, consider subscribing down below so you don't miss our end of season review. But without further ado, let's don our tinfoil hats and get into the predictions. Alright, question 1. How many full safety cars will be called over the entire season? And that's not including VSCs, but it is including like safety car restarts and safety car and starts under the safety car. So basically, how many times is the safety car going to get called out during the season? Start us off.
Yeah, I mean, you said there was 23 last season.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea, so I just went 24. This is one of those ones you just have to guess. I mean, you can't predict it, really.
Yeah. I just went for the same logic. I also put 24. I mean.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I had some reasoning in that there are more rookies this year, I guess, so they could, cause a few more incidents. The inexperience can't help. Plus,
yeah, exactly. True.
We got a new track in Vegas as well, which seems to be it might be a high attrition. So I don't know, but yeah, both put 24 for that. Question 2 is the Podium Prospectors question, and you get a point for every driver who will step onto the podium this year, and you lose one if you get any of the answers wrong.
I was looking forward to this one. Well, obviously Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, so all the big six. And then I've gone Ocon, Norris, and Bottas.
Oh yeah.
Ocon, he had one fourth place last season, didn't he, in Suzuka?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
The Alpine's pretty strong, so I'm hoping they can continue with that. Norris, I mean, I'm not biased. I'm not. I'm hoping they can be as close to Alpine, and maybe an outsider for Bottas. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I'd love to see an Alfa Romeo podium. The McLaren shirt. I mean, I don't have any current F1 merch, but I can see that you're kind of supporting the boys in orange. I do have this. It's not quite merch, but it is.
Oh, I'll get that.
It's close enough. So I've put for this question the top 6: Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton. I don't know, I've been a bit more bold, I guess, with my predictions for this one. I've put Norris and Piastri. I think both McLarens going to get the podium, and also Pierre Gasly.
Right.
My reason being that Piastri dominated F2, and I think he has some serious pace. And also that Gasly, although I think Ocon's going to beat him over the course of the season, he usually has higher highs.
I don't know.
So
I feel like Ocon's maybe more consistently there, so if there is a bit of a crazy race, he'll maybe be there. Yeah, looking at this, I've actually gone more in the favour of Ocon than Gasly, so
yeah.
Who knows? So you've gone for 3 kind of midfield podiums as well?
Yeah, three outside the top 6.
Yeah,
so I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping at least some of them will come through, so I don't actually finish on negative points. It's always a worry. Yeah. Question 3: drivers of the day. Which driver will get the most official driver of the day victories in 2022? Max Verstappen got it with 5, but only by a slight margin. I think maybe Hamilton also got 4, Leclerc got 4, Seb got 4.
Yeah, Seb got quite a few. I'm surprised it wasn't him. I mean, I've been a bit predictable when I've gone with Verstappen. I think,
good, solid choice.
He's winning and a lot of people like him. So
I've also boarded the Red Bull hype train, but on the other side of the garage, I've gone for Sergio Perez, because Checo got 3 last year, I think, but
yeah, okay.
I don't know, I just got a feeling that Red Bull might shaft him a bit in the races, in qualifying rather, so he'll be like further back on the grid, so he'll have more opportunities while Max is dominating to just like get some great overtakes and defense in. Yeah. So that's kind of my way of thinking. That's what I would vote for. So
it didn't happen so much last year, but wasn't it 2021 he got knocked out in Q2 a few times?
Yeah, 2021 so I think he got the most, actually. I think he did get the most driver of the days. So that might be where my thinking lies.
Yeah, maybe.
But on to question 4, which is the fond farewell. Which drivers will leave F1 at the end of the season? Last year, obviously, we said farewell to 4 drivers: Ricciardo, Vettel, Schumacher and Latifi. And we also get 1 point per correct answer, and we lose a point for every driver that we get wrong.
I really struggle with this one because I can't. To me, there's no obvious driver that's going to retire. Like, I mean, well, Seb wasn't that obvious last season, but there's no one that is there that's like, I'm done with F1 because I've been there for years and years. Hamilton looks like he's going to carry on, so does Alonso.
Yeah.
So I've put down Tsunoda just to put someone, because if he doesn't do well against De Vries, Red Bull might get a bit bored with him and knock him out for someone who's in F2 right now. Maybe Iwasa if he kicks on.
Yeah,
next year.
yeah, that was
But
what I was thinking.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I've kind of gone the same. I mean, I've also put Tsunoda. I just kind of thought he might be unable to fill the shoes of a Red Bull driver should either of them go elsewhere. And there's nowhere really else that he could go, I don't think. But
I hope it doesn't happen, but...
Yeah, I mean, what I do think will happen is he will be, like, I think Iwasa is going to have a really strong season in Formula 2.
Hope so.
This year, so he might be replaced by Iwasa, but he's not the only driver I've gone for. I've also put down Kevin Magnussen. You know, it was a very last minute call up, and he's also got Cadillac DPI to focus on, D8 rather.
I don't know. I don't see him leaving. Even with that, I can see him staying on because he was so excited when he got those good results. And
I hope
he's
he
not
doesn't.
that old as well, so
Yeah.
I know he might want to focus on other stuff, but I think if he has an offer, he'll stay.
Anyway, question 5, retirements part 1. Which race will have the most retirements? And the way I'm counting this is that they're counted as a DNF on F1's official website. So in 2022, both Great Britain and Singapore shared the most with 6 each.
It's a guess for me. I've just gone Austria. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that many last year, I don't think, but it has been in the past.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I've gone 7 DNFs. Just again, I guess.
Yeah. I've gone for Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Pretty early on in the season, we might have some like teething trouble from a lot of teams.
Yeah, maybe.
But also what I thought was because of the gap China leaves in the calendar, we've now got like 4 weeks without a race in April. So I thought, you know, in that time, the teams are going to have a lot of time to kind of develop their car and further kind of squeeze out any errors that they can. But yeah, that's my thinking on that. And I also think that there will be 6 DNFs in that race.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason I didn't even think of Saudi. I should have done.
So, on to question 6. We've got retirements part 2. Which driver will suffer the most retirements? In 2022, it was Carlos Sainz. Obviously, he kind of, I don't know, he did it himself a few times, like in Australia, but other times his Ferrari
was a
blew
bit
up.
unlucky.
And we also get 3 points for the correct driver and an additional point for guessing the correct number of retirements.
I don't know if this is going to be accurate, but I've gone for a bit of a funny answer. I've gone Alonso. Because he had so many last year, and it would just be perfect for him to moan about reliability so much at Alpine, and then for it to be the same at Aston Martin.
Jump ship and still go down with it. It's
Yeah.
I must warn viewers that don't really understand our opinions. Not really the biggest pair of Alonso fans right here.
Here we go. We're going to get comments.
We really are.
Now.
Oh god. It's times like this where I'm glad YouTube removed the dislike ratio. Anyway, I've gone for Zhou Guanyu. Because last year he had, I mean, it kind of went under the radar, but Alfa Romeo had pretty poor reliability along with a lot of the Ferrari powered teams. I don't know, it might be kind of a safe answer, but I've just gone with it anyway.
I think I was a bit blindsided by that Alonso storyline. I just had to put it down.
Alright, question 7. Rising star. Which rookie will outperform their teammate the most times over the course of 2023? And of course, in 2022, to everyone's amazement, it was Zhou Guanyu.
I feel this is probably the obvious one, De Vries. I kind of talked about it earlier with Tsunoda. I don't see, I mean, Sargent, he was decent in F2, but he wasn't spectacular, as much as you might not like to hear that. So I don't know if he'd outperform Albon that much. And with Piastri, who knows? I don't know. Because Norris is so good. I mean, sent Eric into retirement possibly.
Yeah. I've also gone Nick De Vries. Just, you know, we've got a good crop of rookies this season, but I don't think that anyone... But I also think their teammates are also pretty good.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
I think Piastri is going to do really well, but I don't think he's going to outperform Norris to like a high extent enough for me to pick him. Tsunoda, I rate Tsunoda. I really like him, but he's finished behind Gasly 2 seasons in a row, and I think Nick De Vries might have the same kind of chops as Gasly, so, you know, I think he might follow in the same footsteps. And Sargent, yeah, I mean, it might be more equal than people think, but I doubt he's going to beat Albon. Moving on to question 8, we have the top 6 after 6. I've always liked this one. Last year it was Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton.
I've gone for the same drivers, just in different order. So I'm hoping next year Mercedes can kick on a little bit more and maybe get a bit of a title fight with Verstappen. So after 6, I've gone Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc, Russell, Perez, Sainz.
I've been a bit more pessimistic along those lines. I mean, I've gone. It's very, very similar to last year from what I've gone, because I don't think people will. I think people will have developed at much the same rates. I think Ferrari might be a little bit closer, and so will Mercedes. I think the top 3 in general, the gaps will have come down a little bit. But I still think some of those early teething troubles will persist for those teams. I've put Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton.
Okay.
So I've gone kind of Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
It's interesting that we've not gone any midfield teams, like say a Norris or Ocon or something like that. I mean, top 6,
I have put down here that I think Alpine will be very close to the top 6 after that, because I think Alpine, the reliability struggles that we saw last year probably won't set in for a little while, and I think they're going to have more out and out pace than McLaren. On to question 9 then, and this is the Turf of Champions question. At which race will the driver's title be won? At the Japanese Grand Prix last year. I've gone with Mexico, because on next year's season is going to be a little bit, it's a little bit further down the line than Japan last year. As I say, Ferrari and Mercedes will be a little bit closer to Red Bull, so the title fight will be that much tighter. Mexico is a Red Bull favoured track. Obviously with a high altitude, they've always ran well there. So I think if they're going to take the title, they're going to do it there.
I've been a bit more optimistic, very much more optimistic, and I've gone Abu Dhabi.
You've gone Abu... Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really hoping there's going to be a title fight. I just want there to be a title fight, please. Yeah, I do like on the forum as well, because I looked at it last night, that you've included all the races in this question. So you've got Bahrain, Saudi. It's like, well,
I did get told actually by someone in the FRD that the earliest possible race that could be won at was the Dutch Grand Prix, but I couldn't be asked to do maths. So I just put Bahrain. I was waiting for that one clown who answered with like Saudi Arabia or something.
I'm guessing someone's.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet, but I mean, you could be the first.
Yeah,
if you wanna go down to the. I'm speaking to the viewers. If you wanna be if you wanna be a funny person and mess up my statistics, then by all means go to the Discord link in the description and fill out the form. If you do, I hate you on a personal level. So moving on to question 10, we have the wooden spoon question. Which team will come last in the constructor standings, and with how many points?
I've gone Williams again. I just don't. They've not shown any signs, because you see last season towards the end, Alfa Romeo showed a bit more promise. So did Aston Martin. Don't know about AlphaTauri really, but they're so far ahead of Williams anyway. Williams were just so far off the back. So I've gone Williams again with 2 points.
Yeah, I do think that it is going to be Williams. I've also put Williams. I've been a bit more optimistic with points. I've said 10 points.
Right. So
just all in all, the field might be a little bit more condensed. They might have bridged the gap a little bit to the 9th best team, but still, they've got a long way to go before they reach the heights that they were at before with I don't know, my first thought was Maldonado, but
I mean, they won.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So for question 11, we have Quarrels Part 1. Which team will have the most imbalanced qualifying performance ratio across the season? So last year, Norris and Ricciardo 20-2. I've also said that's Albon / De Vries 20-2. But if we're ruling that out, then Albon 19-2 Latifi. But they're still like very, very lopsided.
Yeah, I've gone Williams again. I don't know. I mean, you might not be very happy about this, being a Sargent fan, but he was a bit okay-ish in F2, but I hope not, but I think it's going to be Williams.
I haven't gone with Williams, but I do understand.
I think you would.
I do understand. I think Sargent was playing it safe a little bit towards the end of the season because he just wanted to secure that seat. Yeah. But I do get that I think Albon will kind of quite comprehensively beat him. But I mean, I've kind of shot myself in the foot here. It's a double-edged sword because I've gone with Stroll and Alonso in Aston Martin.
I was thinking of putting that.
Also a big Lance Stroll fan, but Alonso's a great qualifier. You saw what he did to Van Dorn in 2017. Was it so pretty comprehensive? I think so. I think he'll probably do the same In the races, maybe not so much, but I think he'll be even better than Seb in that car, if I'm being honest. So on to question 12. We've got the same question, only which team will have the most balanced qualifying performance ratio across the season? Last year, Alonso and Ocon were pretty evenly matched, with Alonso besting Ocon 12-10. So yeah, what have you put?
Alpine again, because Gasly and Ocon are pretty evenly matched. You've seen their stats; they're pretty much the same. One win, couple of podiums. That might not count for much, but I think they're going to be pretty evenly balanced in qualifying.
I was hard pressed not to pick that actually, but yeah, it was it is kind of uncanny looking at their stats, that how similar they really are. I've gone with McLaren because I think it might be a bold prediction because we don't really know what to expect of Oscar Piastri. I rate Norris super highly, but like Piastri was really, really good at qualifying. Like, I think he got 5 poles in a row or something towards the end of the F2 season in 2021. Norris has the experience and like that pace that we all know he has to match it. But yeah, this is really difficult to answer because we have a lot of like really good duos this season, I feel. And
I think Mercedes, maybe Ferrari could be up there with that balance in qualifying as well.
Anyway, on to question 13, best of the rest, which so this isn't technically the P7 question, it's just which driver not from Red Bull, Ferrari or Mercedes will score the most championship points.
I've gone for Ocon because I think the Alpine's going to be really good next year. So, and he's decent enough. So, go on Ocon.
You mentioned before about how consistent he was. I've also put Ocon because I think he's I rate him really highly. I think that again his teammate might have the higher highs and maybe so will the McLarens, but if he's consistently up there and if Alpine can iron out a lot of their kind of technical unreliability, I feel like he would probably finish at least P7. So on to question 14. This is the kind of mid question. Which driver will come 10th in the championship? And in 2022, Bottas just held on. You could see him in the standings every week as they posted the top 10 on Instagram.
He's always there.
He's just there, just looking, and just at the bottom.
Looking gormlessly.
Yeah. Because Alpha was kind of going down and down and down.
Yeah.
Not stonks, but he was still just holding on there for dear life at the end.
I've gone for Piastri.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think he's going to be all right next year.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good guess. For a rookie, that's quite a high
It
place
is,
to
yeah.
aim for,
I was thinking that,
so.
but I think the McLaren's going to be okay. About the level that P10 should be. So
God, people are going to think I hate him after this, but I've gone for Pierre Gasly. I really do rate him. Okay. He's a great driver.
Yeah, I thought about Gas actually. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought that he might have some reliability issues hindering his standings. I do think that Gasly will finish behind both McLarens, so P8 and 9 go to Norris and Piastri.
Okay.
But I think that it's going to just kind of be an Alpine sandwich between them. So on to question 15. The harder they fall, out of the drivers who will win a race this year, who will finish lowest in the standings? Now, this is the one that you suggested, I think. And last year it was Carlos Sainz who finished 5th. But obviously we only had race winner. We only had 5 race winners last year. I think. So who have you put?
Norris. Not biased, but I don't know. I'm just hoping he gets the first win finally. I just want McLaren to be a bit closer. Same with Alpine, really. Just the midfield to be a bit closer to the top 3. So if it's a crazy race, he might be able to win. Yeah,
I'd love to see Lando on the top of the podium, which is why I've actually put Norris for this question as well. I really hope he finally gets his outstanding performance. I think kind of justice for Monza 2021. So on to the next question. This is the super sub question. How many times will we see a reserve driver stepping in to do a race? Last year, Nico Hülkenberg took the wheel in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and De Vries, obviously, with that pretty outstanding performance, if we're being honest. That was really, not to be understated in Monza. I think that was particularly outstanding. Anyway, so this is just like how many times. Doesn't need to be any races or any particular team.
I really wasn't sure about this one. Yeah, I don't know. I was tempted to put none, but I put 1. I mean, Albon wasn't even COVID last year, but...
I mean, you never really know. It is still out there, obviously. So it's. I've also. I mean, we're kind of going down the string of questions where we're answering the same thing, because I've also put 1.
There you go. Yeah.
in terms of how many. I've also just put a note here that it's probably, I'm predicting it's going to be Fittipaldi who steps in for one of the Haas.
Okay.
The Haas cars, whether that's because of an illness or because Magnussen needs to step out for a Cadillac race or something, I don't know. But
yeah.
question 17, serious R&D part 1. Which team will gain or lose the most positions in the Constructors Championship in comparison to their placing last year? From 2021 to 2022, it was Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri gaining and losing 3 positions respectively.
I've gone for AlphaTauri because last season was a bit of a weird one. They've been competitive for a few years before and then fell to 9th all of a sudden. So I'm hoping they can maybe get a bit better results next year. Maybe ahead of Haas and Aston. So I've gone 2.
Yeah, I think that's
7th.
fair enough. I've gone for Alfa Romeo. I think they're going to be down 2 spots. Not necessarily because of their performance, but maybe because of some improved competition, maybe fewer outstanding results in the first half of the season from Bottas, and mixed in with some traditional Italian reliability. I think we could see maybe Aston Martin jump them, and maybe Haas if they continue their upward trend. On to serious R&D part 2. Which driver will gain or lose the most positions compared to their 2022 championship standings? So from 2021 to 2022, it might not be surprising that it was Russell gaining 11 positions from being in that dog of a Williams to a front-running Mercedes. And also De Vries and Hulkenberg are exempt from this question because they were just subs last year, so it wouldn't really be fair.
Yeah, I've gone for Alonso because I don't see the Aston being that much better than last year. I've gone 5. Just a bit. It's maybe a bit harsh because it's quite a few places down in the midfield, but
that would be P14, right?
P13, I think.
Okay.
P13 or 14, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair enough. I've put Gasly +4 because I think AlphaTauri just wasn't really where it should be last season. Yeah. I think he was in 14th place in the standings last season, so I think he'll be in P10, like I said earlier. I also said that Alonso would probably drop down also 4 positions, but since that's the same answer, I just put Gasly instead. Okay, so on to question 19. Which driver will accrue the most penalty points across the 2023 season? So this is irregardless of their starting place on points, like however many they gain over the course of the season. In 2022, Gasly got 10 points, so really close to a race ban. I've
said Magnussen for this one. I wasn't sure, but I think his way of driving is sometimes a bit on the edge.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's my logic there.
Do you think maybe with his teammate a few times he might have
maybe
skirmishes? Yeah, I was thinking Magnussen, but in the end I went for Zhou. The way I was thinking, drivers with a lot of points might be more careful, and so they might, try and limit the amount of points they get so they don't get race ban. Zhou only has 4 points, but they are from 4 separate occasions. He's only got 1 at a time, and they are all for his own incident, so that it's none for like anything the team did. It's all his own fault on track. So I just thought that maybe if they got ramped up a couple more times, he might get 2 or 3 per incident and therefore finish with more. So on question 20, we have the Sunday poll question. That's name every driver that will earn a fastest lap point during a Sunday race. So we're not including sprint races.
I've gone all the top 6, so Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, Russell. And then there's a few, because wasn't it Norris and Zhou last season that did it? So I've gone for Gasly and Magnussen. A couple of years ago, obviously not last year, but a couple of years ago, he got fastest laps at Singapore.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
is that still standing?
Got to keep going. That's got to keep going. I think the lap record is still standing because obviously last year was wet in that race. So that's still standing. So he has to keep it going.
You just want to keep the Singapore record streak alive.
Has to.
Oh god, now I wish I'd put that. That's it's touching. So I've gone for the top 6 plus Norris and Gasly.
Okay.
It's just kind of a mixture, but no, I like your answer to that. That's I wanted to keep that going as well. So that's the end of the kind of full questions. We've got a few more just to finish off the challenge. First one, question 21. Who do you think is going to win the Constructors World Championship?
Red Bull. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said the same?
I've said the same. Yeah, going to
Yeah.
take the second in a row. I
Not
think,
much more to say.
you know, they're just going to keep developing. I don't think anyone's really going to touch them in the end.
Yeah.
Verstappen's on a roll, so...
Yeah. I hope Mercedes can get closer, and with the change at Ferrari, I don't know how stable that'll be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Red Bull look pretty dominant.
Question 22 is the Drivers' World Champion. Who do you think is going to clinch it this season?
Verstappen.
Yep,
Yeah,
same.
yes.
Glad we're unanimous on that, and as is like 90% of the F1 community. Verstappen and Red Bull, top of their game right now. I don't think anyone can beat them, but you know, I'd love to be proven wrong. But yeah, that marks the end of the kind of serious questions. We've got one more called Utter Absurdity. Make one bold prediction about the upcoming year, and this is not for any points. It's just to kind of look back on the season if any of them come true.
So, mine is, this has already happened once, so it might happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Stroll and Alonso hit each other more than twice in the season,
Oh,
resulting in
what?
at least one DNF for either of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not going to be fun for Mike Crack.
Or Lawrence Stroll. I'm incredibly angry part 2.
I don't know. Mine seems almost tame about that, but I've gone for Andretti Cadillac will be announced as the 11th team on the grid.
Have you got any ideas for drivers?
Ooh,
Just out of
drivers I
curiosity.
hadn't thought of. Maybe, because I know that I said Magnussen would retire this year. Maybe Magnussen just takes a sabbatical and then comes
Yeah.
back with Andretti Cadillac and perhaps with Colton Herta. But yeah, that just about concludes every single question we've got on this list. Some pretty wacky out there predictions and some tamer ones just because we are competitive at heart and we want to do well. I know we did this a couple of years ago. It's not actually on the question sheet, but who do you think is going to win between you and me in this
Oh
challenge?
yeah, I think you maybe thought about the questions more in depth than I have for some of them, so I'm going to say you.
Oh, okay, we're not just awarding ourselves the medals. I kind of
No.
feel bad if I was to vote myself now,
Oh, you can. It's your question.
but I don't know. I feel like I've been with the questions I can lose points. I don't think I was as conservative as I could have been. So I don't know. I'll say you. I'll be nice.
okay.
I'll be
Didn't have
nice.
to do that.
Just once again, I just want to say that there is a Google form in the description. All you need to do is join the Fail Race Discord server, who we've made this in collaboration with. It'll be on the announcements page there. If you scroll up a little bit, you can fill out the form. Form closes on the 19th of February, so make sure you get the predictions in before then. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you to Quinn for being in the video and putting up with me for an hour. So
It was difficult.
yeah. Make sure to subscribe to him. His channel will be in the description as well. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.